Hello and welcome back to Small Room Audio. Today we're reviewing this. This is the Innuos Phoenix USB Reclocker. What is it? What is a USB reclocker? Well, it's got quite a narrow use case. First of all, we're talking about digital music files here. So you need in your chain a streamer. A streamer can be a computer, it can be a very simple Raspberry Pi, or it could be something like this, which is quite a high-end streamer, the Sonore Optical Rendu, which is my one that I use for Qobuz, Tidal, Spotify and locally stored files. You also, with your streamer, need to have a USB out. If you don't have a USB out, this USB reclocker is not going to be for you because the clue's in the name. It takes a USB signal, reclocks it, and then it pumps out through USB as well into your DAC, your digital to analog converter. Right, so signal comes out of the streamer and then it passes via USB cable into this, the Innuos Phoenix. The signal is then regenerated and reclocked, and there's a Sean Jacobs power supply in here keeping things ticking over nicely in a very clean power way. So far so good. So around the back, if you have a quick look at it, it's quite heavy. I think it's about 5 kilograms, maybe a bit more. Black box as per usual, standard tick for hi-fi gear, although I do think you can get it in silver as well. Your USB signal, your cable goes in here and then it comes out here. Your power cable goes in there and this switches it on and off. Pretty simple, isn't it? But the idea is that the signal you get coming out of it is a better one, a more organised one, got better timing, a better sound signature than you would have had directly straight from your streamer. So far sounds like okay. Is that true? And I think the problem that I've had here, and the reason it's taken me 9 months to review this, is there are a lot of variables you have to control, from what are the other elements in your system, from your amplification through to your speakers, and also even what cables are you using. I know this could be controversial, we're going to talk a little bit about cables, but I would think about this product as almost like a seasoning product. You know, get your speakers right, your amplification right, your DAC, your streamer, get everything else going, and make sure you like it first. Then explore something like the Innuos Phoenix, because it is a subtle difference, but there is a difference that's made. Before we go on to the series of questions I had to ask myself whilst reviewing this, I think I'll just talk about the bottom here. You've got 3 vibration sort of feet, if you like, which is quite nice. And in the box you get a USB cable along with a power cable. So, oh, and the price. Yes, it is expensive, and this is why it's quite a tricky one to choose to recommend, but we will talk more about it at the end. It's £2,599. That's a lot for a bit of salt and pepper on top, isn't it? So you have to really like the taste of it. So question number 1, the most important question: if your USB signal comes in from a computer, a cheap streamer, or a very expensive streamer, does it change the sound? And does it change it in all instances? The answer there is yes, it does. It does change the sound. How does it change the sound? Well, again, in all instances, it is pretty much the same difference, and that is it makes sound a little bit more fluid. It makes it perhaps a little softer on the transients, not completely. I mean, the transients still sound really good. You've got lots of texture to the mid-range. You've got more feel to the sound than perhaps you did before. But the softening of things does sometimes detract from the impact. Now, the amount of impact you'll feel, and the difference there is very much system dependent, and probably room dependent as well, depending on how treated it is. So let's go first of all for your kind of cheapest option. Say you're sticking with a computer or a laptop or a Mac Mini or something like that to use as your streamer, going into the Innuos Phoenix and coming out again into your DAC. That will improve things a lot. It did with mine. It takes it up quite a few notches. Does it mean though that your computer into a £2,600 USB reclocker is better than just going with a dedicated streamer? No, would be my answer to that. Very simply, I think it is better value and better sound to go for a better streamer first. Okay, that's out of the way. Now we go up to maybe sort of a cheaper streaming solution. Let's talk about the Allo USB bridge signature. That going into this sounds very nice indeed. And I would say the two paired together almost, but not quite, get again to the level of the Optical Rendu. But they don't get to this level. So Optical Rendu here with all of the external linear power supplies retails for around £2,000-ish with the optical module as well. But remember, an Allo USB bridge signature and the Phoenix clocks in nearer £3,000. So it's much better to go for the better streamer. Now, how about with these two products combined? The expensive and really excellent streamer with the expensive and really excellent USB reclocker makes for quite an epic combo. Although, is it £2,600 epic? And I think this is a question that you'll have to answer yourselves. For me, I've gone back and forth with this so many different times because I've had, this is mine by the way, I bought this, that's mine as well, and none of these are review samples, but I've often put this on the side thinking, I'm going to eBay that. And it's not until you take it out of the chain that you start to miss it. It's quite subtle, but you know, we're slightly mad audiophiles, aren't we? And that final 10% can mean quite a lot to us. So I haven't sold it. I've had it in my system pretty much non-stop since I bought it as a an add-on for my streaming solution. And it does make things more tangible. Tangible is the word, actually, especially voices. It's just more real in many ways, but a tiny bit more real. £2,600, a lot of money. Anyway, third question. Apart from does it change the sound and does the source matter? Third question is, does the USB cable or cables that you use with it matter? So you've got one cable going from your streamer to the reclocker and another cable coming out of the reclocker into your DAC. Now, I used to use Audioquest carbon cables. I thought they were very good USB cables, but I then tried these ones, which are Curious Evolved cables from Australia. G'day, mate, we're from Australia. Very good cables indeed. I'm going to get rid of that accent now because that's an awful Australian accent. Yeah, so these cables, more expensive than the carbon cables from Audioquest, but they're a bit more lively. They've got a bit more spark about them. The carbon are very smooth sounding with this combo. This gives it a bit more oomph. And the reason I like that is because, as I said before, for me, in my system and for when I used this, it did just soften things a little. That fluidity versus impact trade meant that I wanted to hype things up a little bit using these cables, which are very good. They're quite expensive, but they are very good, the Curious Evolved. So I have a Curious Evolved going from the streamer into the Phoenix and then out from the Phoenix into my DAC, which at the moment I'm very grateful to have the Mola Tambaqui. So the DAC is definitely not a limiting factor in this test. And even though the Tambaqui, just a minute on that, does upsample the music, you can definitely tell the differences with and without the Phoenix in the chain. So USB will matter, but that's less about is it a good cable or is it a bad cable. It's about what you like to your taste, because again, this is about how much salt and pepper you have on your steak. Next question. Is it always better with the Phoenix? I think I've kind of answered this already in the sense that, say I listen to percussion music and what else? Maybe kind of Rodrigo Gabriela, kind of live acoustic music, that sort of thing. Sometimes it's more fun just to go with the streamer on its own because you've got that visceral element, but it's definitely not as refined as when you put in this. I think also if you're using tubes, so I used to have a Line Magnetic 508IA with some really nice aftermarket tubes in the preamp stage, and really expensive ones, which softened everything, gave it a lush feel, like proper traditional tube amplifier style. Now with that, it was all too soft. But with solid state, with the NAD 298 power amplifier, I would always choose to have this in the chain, because actually there's enough oomph from that amplification versus the tube amplification. And again, it's all about balance, isn't it, and synergy. That's what makes a good system. And I think if you can get the synergy right with the Phoenix, then it will certainly add to your system and make it better. But it doesn't automatically mean that if you put it in, things will be better. You need to look at what A, you like, which is really important, and B, you know, what other elements you've got and other equipment you've got going on in your listening room. So the last question is, would I recommend it? If you're a mad audiophile and you're seeking the final 5 or 10%, then yes, I probably would. I think it starts to make more sense if you're building up and building up. But if you're wanting to build a very good system and perhaps your budget is £5,000, euros, or even dollars, it's probably not going to make sense because it won't bring that much to it. Spend more on your speakers, more on your amplification, more on your DAC. That will make more of a difference than this will. However, USB reclockers, particularly this one, do make a difference. Now, I've tried other USB reclockers from SOTM and also the likes of hifi as well. Regenerators, reclockers, they all tend to make a difference on sound. This one for me makes the biggest difference because it's not taking away too much to offer ultimate smoothness. It's not kind of giving you too much to pitch up the sound to make it slightly more lively. It just makes things more natural, more fluid and more tangible. And for me, it's the best USB reclocker I've heard so far, and it's staying in my system for now. If I go up something like the Innuos statement, or I have a really, really good source, maybe it will go, and perhaps I'll update you if that happens. But for now, it's sticking around. And if you're like me, a little bit of a mad audiophile, then I think you'll quite enjoy it. Anyway, this has been the review for today. I hope you liked it. If you do, please like and subscribe because it helps us out a lot. And we'll see you back here very soon.